So I have now seen Disney's new live action Snow White film. Is it as bad as everyone thought it was going to be? You know what? It wasn't actually the worst thing I've ever watched. It wasn't great. But there's things I liked about it, there's things I didn't like about it. I'm going to try and explain in this video what I liked and what I didn't like about it. Now, obviously, I will be talking about spoilers in this video, so if you have not watched the film yet and you don't want to be spoiled, definitely come back to this video after you've watched it. Okay, so the film starts off with a bunch of animals on this book, and the book opens up and it's like, once upon a time, and for maybe like 2 seconds, there is a bit of 2D animation that does appear. I would have loved it if they kept this 2D animation for the rest of at least the opening bit of the film. I don't know. I know it is a live action film, so being 2D would kind of defeat the whole point of it, but I just miss watching 2D animation in general on the big screen. I would have liked them to be a bit more experimental about that. We then get our first song in the film, which I actually liked. I actually did like the first song. I thought the choreography was really good as well. As for the other songs in the film, we'll get to that more in the video, but the other songs were not really all that. Now, I know this film is for younger audiences, so they do kind of have to over-explain some bits for them to understand, but there was just this one bit in the opening where it's like, oh, the characters are heartbroken, and it's like you can see on their face that they're heartbroken. Like, I would have rather they have just done show don't tell. I mean, it's only a little issue, you know, it's not going to bring the rating of the film down by anything. Like, it's just a little thing that kind of annoyed me a bit. We get introduced to the evil queen, and then we see the mirror for the first time, and the CGI on the mirror looks awful. It is by far the worst looking thing in the whole film. It looks like something like you would see at a theme park when you're like in the queue waiting to go on a roller coaster and they play like these videos while you're waiting in the line. It literally looks like something out of that. I am thinking they probably couldn't really do much to make it look any better, but it just looked visibly bad. So now, one thing that I did actually like about the film, I've mentioned this in my TikTok film review as well, but the animals actually show emotion in this film. Like, when Disney first started doing these live action films, the animals would just show no emotion whatsoever. I think about the first Lion King film. Now, the animals, like, they're actually smiling and stuff. You can see when they're upset, you can see when they're laughing. I like that. Obviously, if it was all 2D animated, it would be a lot better. But I am glad Disney's at least making some effort in that sort of thing. It is very obvious in this film when characters are about to break into song. Like when Snow White was about to sing Waiting on a Wish, I think that's what it's called. It was so obvious. I was like, yep, this is the bit in the film where she's going to sing the song. Now, as for the actual song, it's fine. It's nothing amazing. Rachel's voice is actually really good. I do have to say that. Her singing voice is really good. I can't say anything bad about her singing voice. There was one bit in the song though that I physically couldn't really listen to. I'm obviously not going to be re-singing it, and I don't want to show it in case copyright, but there's a bit in the song where it just didn't sound good at all. Not because of her voice or anything, but I think it was because of like the lyrics and the way she was singing it. It didn't sound good, but that only lasted for maybe like 3 seconds throughout the whole song. So I know it's really not that deep, it's not that big of a deal, but I think it is worth mentioning. As for that though, the rest of the song is fine. So then we meet the prince, who's not a prince in this film. He's a bandit. He is not a prince in this film, but I feel like overall him and Snow White's romance in the film was very forced. It was very forced. Like the bit where she's giving him the bread and he grabs onto her hand and they start looking at each other. I'm just like, it doesn't feel realistic. It feels super forced. When they do eventually kiss at the end of the film, it felt very forced and kind of undeserving. Like, they have only known each other for such a short amount of time. There is no way, like, this is realistic. I know people are going to say, oh, but it's a film. It's not meant to be realistic. That's not the point. There are loads of films out there where characters know each other for that amount of time and they have better chemistry with each other because they've been better written for getting into a relationship with each other. There's just films that do it better. Like, it's not actually that difficult. Overall, the narrative in this film did kind of flow very quickly, which is understandable for these kinds of films. They don't want to like drag on or anything for children. But I just find it so funny how like Snow White literally sings a song to herself, and then all of a sudden the mirror switches up like, oh wait, you're not the fairest of them all anymore. And it's just, it felt so rushed. But like, I would have rather the film rushed everything than drag on for such a stupid amount of time, if that makes sense. We then get to the scene where, you know, he's trying to kill Snow White because the evil queen told him to. And this scene was very dark. Like, me and my mum both looked at each other in the cinema being like, this is actually quite dark. Like, 5-year-olds are probably gonna be a bit scared at this. Like, the scenes were like physically dark to watch, and it was just, yeah, it was a lot darker than the original film, and I kind of liked it. We then get introduced to the 7 dwarfs. They look awful. We're not even going to mention Dopey, by the way. I can't even bring myself to talk about Dopey. I don't like what they did with him in the film. But yeah, the 7 dwarfs, they did not look good at all. I don't know why Disney didn't just hire 7 actors with dwarfism to play them. I don't know why they had to CGI them. It just, yeah, we all knew it was gonna look bad. It just, yeah, it looked bad. Now, I wrote this other thing on my notes very randomly, but at Odeon Cinemas there is a Snow White popcorn bucket or popcorn box, and it is meant to be, you know, the box that Snow White's heart is meant to be put inside. And I'll say this now, it looked exactly the same in the film. Like, it literally looks like the same material and plastic and stuff they used to make the popcorn box. It looks like they could have literally taken the actual popcorn box and put it in the film, and I would not be able to tell it was a completely different box. Like, props for accuracy. Now, you guys remember this film originally was meant to have the 7 mythical creatures or whatever they're called, but then they changed it to the 7 dwarfs. Yeah, no, these 7 other people are still in the film. They have kept them in the film. Didn't really need to though. Like, you could have taken them out of the film and realistically it would have been the exact same film. Nothing would have changed at all. They probably had like 20 seconds of screen time each. There was no point in, like, just pick one or the other. Just pick one or the other. We did not need to have 7 of these and then 7 like dwarves. We did not need all that. I don't know why the phrase 7 mythical creatures is coming to my mind. I think that's what they were called, unless I'm thinking of something completely different. They are just 7 random bandits in the film. I love how, like, I'm looking at my notes now I've written for the film. I wrote forced romance maybe 5 times in my notes in total. It's just not a good romance they've written in this film at all. I also wrote this, so the scene where Snow White's about to take the bite of the apple, all the animals run to, you know, get the dwarfs, be like, oh, Snow White's in trouble, but like none of the animals stay to actually prevent Snow White from eating the apple. I was just like, this is some mad plot convenience happening right now. Like, I know people are going to say, oh, but if she hadn't bitten the apple, she wouldn't have had the true love's kiss and get woken up. It's not a true love's kiss anyway. The romance between the 2 characters is not good. Like, I just found it kind of funny. Not a single animal stayed to help her. No, not a single one. So yeah, the true love's kiss happens. You know, I am glad they did keep that in the film, because I remember when first they were like, oh, she's not going to be saved by a prince. She's not going to be woken up with a true love's kiss, and it's like they kept that in the film in the end. I'm glad they did though. I'm glad they did, because it's not like that was like one of the most important plots in the first film or anything. Like, definitely not. But yeah, then, you know, they all go back to the castle to talk to the evil queen. Like, literally they just all team up with the villagers and stuff to talk to her. It reminded me of the ending from Wish so badly. Like, they were all even like singing and everything, and then yeah, the way the evil queen got defeated was it was very rushed and just very lazy the way they did it. I did like though, after all that happened, the film didn't drag on or anything, it just ended then. You know, I'm so fed up with films nowadays dragging on the endings. Like, I love it when I'm watching a 90s film and the film ends literally when it ends. Like, take Lost Boys, for example. The film literally ends when the big baddie dies. We need more films like that. We need more films like that. I don't want to see the ending be dragged on for another 20 minutes. I don't care. I don't care. And I like this film didn't do that. It just ended pretty much when it did. We had like maybe 1 minute of Snow White being the new ruler or whatever, and that was it. Which, good. So overall, is this film completely terrible? It's not. It's not the worst film I've ever watched. It's definitely not the worst Disney live action film either. But it's not really a great film either. There's loads of writing flaws in the film. Loads of character undevelopment. It could have been more. But then again, in my opinion, we just don't need these films anyway. Like, I would have preferred them to have just done a completely different character, like a new Disney princess. Like, we don't need these live action remakes. Disney, you can just make new original characters, okay? I would much prefer if they did that. Obviously, they're not going to listen to me, you know. The film's making them money, and that's all they care about. These live action films, despite how many people don't like them, they make money, so Disney are not going to stop making them anytime soon, which is the harsh reality that I've just kind of accepted at this point. But this wasn't the worst film I've ever watched. I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. In total. It's a film I'm probably never going to think about ever again. That's all I have to say about it.